Hello viewers, welcome to another exciting episode for C24/7 with me, your host Priyanka. We are here today at the Jahaz Bhavan to meet the newly appointed Director General of Shipping, Mr. Gautam Chatterjee. So come on in, let's go and have a word with him and have his thoughts and opinions on the shipping industry. So, could you please tell us something about your background? As our viewers, I'm sure, would like to know more about you.
Presently, I am the Director General of Shipping. I have been here since the last little over 2 months. I belong to the Indian Administrative Service and held in the Maharashtra cadre. I have done little over 30 years of service, spanning across a variety of sectors. To name a few, the Ministry of Commerce, I was Joint Director General of Foreign Trade in the mid-90s. Then in the mid-2000, that's 2002 to 2007, I was Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Defence, dealing with subjects of Navy and Coast Guard. And in the state government in Maharashtra, I have mostly spent time in the housing and the real estate sector. So this mercantile marine, which I am presently looking at, is that way new, though I have had some experience of the blue waters in the sense that I was dealing with the Navy and the Coast Guard.
As the new Director General of Shipping, what would be your prime focus? What are your plans, agenda or focus for the coming year specifically for the Indian shipping industry?
To put it briefly, maybe I would say 2-3 areas that for the moment I have flagged, which would be my prime focus areas. Number one, of course, is that India has always been known as a major seafaring nation, though we have over 7,500 kilometers of coastline. But then in the international arena, we have not been known as a great shipbuilding nation or a ship owning nation, ship owners nation. However, we are really have a strength in producing good seafarers who today are manning ships of various nationalities, various flags. Now this strength that we have, I would like to build upon this strength in the sense that this prime position that is available to us as Indians are the best seafarers, I would like that to continue. And for doing that, we have to go back to the drawing board where the people get trained as seafarers. That's the maritime training institutions. We have close to 140 such institutions in the country which are approved by the Director General of Shipping. That would be my area where I would like the quality of such institutions to become better and better, so that the quality of seafarers who come out of these institutions can then become world class. Number one. Second area of focus I feel would be that the tonnage that we have, that means the total amount of cargo that is exim cargo that is handled, majority of that is handled by foreign flagships. So we would like to see how Indian bottoms can go up in the sense that more Indian flagships can get into carrying our own exim cargo. And third would be that, as I mentioned, we have this over 7,000 kilometers of coastline. We would like that more and more coastal trade, coastal passenger movement and coastal shipping develops. So maybe a dedicated coastal shipping policy which helps our coastal waters to generate more movement of coastal trade and inland trade and passenger movement. So these would be my 3 areas which I would like to flag as my tasks that would be there for the next 2 years or so that I should be here. Apart from that, an overall point would be that usually there is a perception about government organizations that there are issues related to higher transaction cost and transaction time when one has to get various approvals. And approvals are usually mired in a lot of vagueness, in the sense there is lack of transparency. So that will be another area that I would like to have reforms in the various functions that our office here and our subordinate offices called the Mercantile Marine Departments do, so that works could be carried out faster in a more transparent manner.
What are some of the major policy changes which need to be in place to manage the current downturn in the shipping business?
This economic downturn, which is set in since maybe 2008, has affected all sectors of economy. But then when we talk about the shipping sector, this is largely affected more because prior to 2008, when we had a boom time, in fact, whatever capacity creation was done the world over, a lot of bottoms got acquired, thinking that the economy is growing at this rate, therefore more and more ships can be acquired. So more number of ships than what is sustainable got acquired in that phase of say 2003 to 2008. And thereafter, when the economic downturn took place, then you had a lot of redundancy which showed up, and therefore there were these ships which were just lying idle, and there were distress sales, and those distress sales still continue. So if I as a ship owner have bought a ship or a VLCC or whatever, and then in a distress sale I sell it to you at a much lower price, then when you have to carry cargo, you will offer a rate which is much lower than what I can do. So therefore this undercutting still continues to go on, and the prices that are getting available to the people who own these ships or who manage the ships are such that it does not make business profitable enough. Now this situation, I am told, should actually require another year's time to tide over. Now in such difficult situations, if I go back to what I told you earlier, if you look at the other issues which is making business a little more difficult, making it unprofitable, if we look into those issues, then maybe we can make life a little simpler for the people who are not able to manage to keep afloat. So immediate reaction to this would be that I have no control on the global forces, which in fact certain other forces will come into play, where we'll see more Indian bottoms or more ships getting business. But in the meantime, other issues which are under my control, if I can make life simpler for my ship owners, I would like to.
Although much uncertainty remains, what are some of the positive outcomes or forecasts our seafarers can look forward to in 2013?
Seafarers. Well, I am a die-hard optimist. Okay, and therefore, in all the measures that we have outlined, which would be taking in the time to come, I am sure this will result only in positive outcomes. So in difficult situation, when you tell them that you have to cope with the difficult situation for maybe another year or so, in such a situation, whatever good things come their way, I think should be such welcome that my seafarers should be happy. So I would look at it from that point. Piracy is certainly one area which has been the bane of this industry. But then one good thing has been that if you look back at the year 2012, that 2012 has seen a tremendous fall in the instances of piracy which we had seen in the 2010-11. So that's one good positive outcome. It has happened because our security forces, the Indian Navy, the other the other security forces of the other countries have got together to see how those areas of uncertainty, those high-risk areas in the east coast of Somalia and the west coast of Nigeria, how they could be actually monitored to see that ships are safe. We have also taken initiatives by which ships are addressing the problem by having armed guards in the ship, and there have been many foiled attempts of piracy where such piracy skiffs have been driven away by armed guards in the ship. So these 2-3 areas, and of course by keeping and monitoring through our information network that we have, by which we keep on always advising the ship owners as as to which are the high risk areas, which are the areas you should avoid, and if you are actually going into those areas, what other precautions that you need to take, putting CCTVs in the ship, having the distress signal alert signs and all those things. Various measures that have been brought into have actually also helped us in tiding over this major problem that we have.
Today, basically the burning issue in shipping is availability of berths for onboard training. What are your views on it, and how do you think can this issue be resolved in the coming times?
You see, what happened is that this has become critical again since in the boom time, as I mentioned, that we went into acquisition of more bottoms than the industry can sustain. Similarly, as the bottoms were increasing, at the same time we felt more and more seafarers would be required. So more and more training institutions came in. When it was a boom period, there was no issue at all. Once they passed out from their training institute, the berths were available in the ship where they could complete their onboard training. However, as this economic downturn set in, that problem also was seen there. Now the government has come up with various schemes by which the tonnage tax scheme and other schemes on Indian ship owners where they have been given tax concession, provided they make available berths for the cadets. We are also looking at various other ships that are operating in the coastal waters, in the offshore sector. In fact, out of about 1100 odd ships that the Indian flag has, close to 750, 800 ships are operating only in the coastal waters. Only 300 odd are foreign going vessels. So these 700 odd vessels which are not under the tonnage tax scheme, we are now trying to talk to them to see how these vessels, because there is availability of berth space there in those ships. We have also issued guidelines through the DGS order by which we said that that time which is supposed to be spent on board, we could be divided into some time which the cadets can spend on such ships which are in coastal waters. And part of the training can be completed here. Yeah. The other part they can go out on the foreign boat. With these measures, I feel we should be able to make more berths available on these ships. We have tried to put the training institutions in touch with the ship owners, so that at least there could be a tie-up by which when a fresh candidate joins a training institute, the training institution can assure him with this tie-up with those the placement agents or the ship owners that you shall be put on board for a on-board training. With these measures, I am sure we should be able to tide over this. But then, let me put this fact also very clearly, that today the training institutions which are there in supply that we are actually giving to the sector is not at all commensurate to the demand that is there. Okay, and therefore extra efforts will have to be made if at all I have to keep the same level of supply to ensure that we find those berths where these people at least get trained, so that tomorrow when the situation improves, I have a sufficient number of full-fledged, fully trained seafarers who can then go out and then occupy those berths.
As we know, women weren't allowed to enter this industry before, so they didn't ever keep this as an option. But now that they are allowed, how can shipping as a career be made a more viable choice for young, enterprising and ambitious Indian women?
About a month back, I was told that there is a group of women who are actually women entrepreneurs who have shown that this sector is not a male-dominated, cannot remain as a male-dominated sector, have come forward and shown the way. I am waiting for inputs from such women who have taken this initiative to come and tell me as to what they would require from me as a DG Shipping, so that I can give that extra edge to a women entrepreneur to come up and actually occupy that space which is available.
And what do you feel? How can we further upgrade the quality of the Indian seafarers?
Quality of the Indian seafarers would be upgraded through my maritime training institutions. Therefore, there has to be a carrot and stick policy for rewarding such quality maritime institutions which are bringing out quality seafarers. trying to bring out such best practices of these quality maritime training institutions and showcasing them to the ones who are not doing as well as that. I also intend to bring in place a grading standard, which would be through a proper benchmarking and proper yardstick, by which I will be able to assess as to what is the quality of a training institution. Now, once we put these things in place, we will be clearly able to assess that out of my 140 training institutions, which are the ones which are graded outstanding or graded A, where in fact others need to emulate, which are the ones which are graded B, which need to improve so that they can get into A, and which are the ones which are in C, which need to be eased out. Okay, so the thing is, I must have that scale by which I can measure who is good and who is not so good, and the not so good has to perish, and the good will have to actually become excellent.
It's actually very similar to this. It basically is that, what are your comments on the quality of output which Indian Maritime Institute feel that there is a need to change any selection process or training procedure?
Selection process is there are, you see, these are three different areas. One is the curriculum, which is followed on the basis of the international conventions, the STCW. Then there are methods by which we actually assess while a candidate is entering the institute or when he is exiting the institute, through centralized examinations. That's number two. But most important, I feel, is the time that they spend in the training institute. Is that a quality time? Are they exposed to faculty which are the best, who are giving the best to them? That is the most important thing for me. And therefore my target would be that, to tell the training institutes that you need to have that proper faculty and do that hand-holding with the training institute, which is willing to go along with me to improve itself, and giving them that opportunity to improve, failing which they will have to perish. Is as simple as that.
Very much, sir. Those are all the questions we have today. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Mr. Gautam Chatterjee with his views on shipping. Indeed, his views and opinions were very thoughtful, and we from C24/7 wish him all the very best for signing off for this week. I would only like to inform you that our very own Sailor Today Seashore Awards are scheduled for the 16th of March 2013. So, and if you would like to nominate your company, yourself, your colleagues or your friends, please do that as soon as possible, because all the nominations will shut on the 1st of March 2013. So get nominating. If you're missing out on your monthly dose of shipping news, do subscribe to us, India's #1 shipping magazine, Sailor Today. Call 022-6588-4100 and our representatives will take you from there. This is me, Priyanka, signing off and seeing you next week, same channel, C24/7. Cheers.